Okay, to find the distance between a point and a line, we want to understand the rough idea here. We have a line and we have a point. The definition of the distance between a point and a line is the length of a perpendicular line segment whose endpoints lie on the point and on the line. So if we're given this line, in this problem we're given the equation 3x plus 4y is equal to 10. And we're given the fact that this point here is 2, 2. Okay, so to find the answer here, we have to then, first of all, find an equation for the line that contains a segment. Then we find the intersection of these two lines. And then we could identify this point, which then in turn allows us to use the distance formula. So our goal here is to find this point here, which we'll call x, y. I need to know that. I don't know what it is. So let's first of all, let's turn this equation and find its slope, because we're going to use the negative reciprocal rule. So y is equal to negative 3x plus 10 over 4. That would be the equation for that line right here. And to find the slope of this, we see that m is equal to negative 3/4. So therefore, that means the slope here, this m, will have to be the negative reciprocal, which would be 4/3. Okay. So now that we have that, let's use the point slope form of the line to find the line equation for the segment. Therefore, we have y is equal to 4/3 x minus 2 plus 2. And some people might want to go ahead and put that in the slope-intercept form. Might be easier to work, but we'd have to do that there as well. Let's just go ahead and leave it alone. So now to find the intersection between these two lines, let's let the rule of substitution help us. And let's let 4/3 times x minus 2 plus 2 equal negative 3x plus 10 all over 4. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to multiply both sides by 12. If I do that, if I multiply both sides by 12, I can clear these denominators. So I'm going to multiply this side by 12. And I'm going to multiply this side by 12. Doing that, if I distribute the 12, I now get 16 x minus 2 plus 24 equals 3 times negative 3x plus 10. Distributing, we get 16x minus 32 plus 24 equals negative 9x plus 30. I'm going to bring this 9 to this side, and I'll have 25 x's. And then I'll bring that's a negative 8, and I'll bring it to this side, and that's going to be 38. So x is equal to 38 over 25. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and now solve for y, because once I know that value there is the x coordinate here. So that value there is 38 over 25. So now for the y, I'll bring the y work here, and I'm just going to substitute into what I think is the easier of the two, which neither one of them looks nice. So I will use this one, just y is equal to 4/3 x, which is 38 over 25 minus 2, but it would nice to be write this with a common denominator, so let's put 50 over 25. And I notice that my common denominator of these two is going to be 75. So I'm going to write plus 150 to save a step. And so therefore I have 4 times, I'm looking at a negative 12 here, over 75 and then I could just say plus 150 because it's all over 75. This becomes a negative 48, so that becomes 102 over 75. Okay, so now I have this point here is 102, 75, and now I just have to use the distance formula. So let's go ahead and do that. So now the distance is equal to the square root of the difference of the x squared plus the difference of the y squared. And I just have to say, okay, 2 minus 38 over 25 is going to be then 12 over 25 quantity squared plus 150 minus 102, which is 48 over 75 quantity squared. Okay, I think right now I'm going to use my calculator. So let's go ahead and use that. And let's clear this second square root. I'm going to put 12 divided by 25. I'll square that one, and I'm going to add it to 48 divided by 75 squared. Add them together, hit enter, and I get 0.8. 0.8. Okay, so that should be the length of that segment, which is then the distance between the point and the line. So now let's check that against our formula. Okay, if we check it against our formula, we now have our equation, which is 3x plus 4y, and we have to put it into the form, the ABC form as shown. So then I'm going to put minus 10 is equal to 0. So this is my A, this is my B, and this is my C. So I'm going to identify that x sub 1 and y sub 1 is the point 2, 2. So from my formula to check our work, we should have the absolute value of A, which is 3, times my x sub 1, which is 2, plus 4 times my y, which is 2, okay, minus 10, which is plus c, and c is a negative 10, absolute value over the square root of a squared, which is 3 squared plus 4 squared, and that's 3 squared, 4 squared, that's 5. So I've got something over 5. And here I have the absolute value of 6 plus 8 minus 10, which is 14 minus 10, which is 4 fifths, which in fact is 0.8. Okay, I know that if we set our equation up like that, it'd be an easy way to use this formula, but in reality I would like you to make sure that you have good command of the principles that I showed first.